Every day, we all struggle with how exactly to hold it all together, but through circumstances completely out of your control, it could all collapse in an instant, leaving you undeniably shattered. How do you pick up the pieces and put your life back together when it all falls apart? Will you take it on the chin and tough it out? Or will you completely cave in on yourself in the attempt to move on? If you're working through all of this alone, it can be challenging, if not downright impossible. But with the right support system and people around you, salvaging whatever remains of your life seems all but inevitable. However, what if your support system is the reason it all fell apart in the first place? What if the people you've surrounded yourself with are directly responsible for the worst things to ever happen to you? How a person can even begin to compartmentalize that is explored in Sons of Anarchy through the character of Harry Winston, aka Opie. Opie is the best friend of the show's main character, Jax Teller, the son of first 9 original member Piney Winston, and himself a longtime member of the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle club. Usually towering above the other characters due to his large stature, there is a tenderness and vulnerability to this character that shines through in the performance of Ryan Hurst. Based on appearance, usually this type of character is reserved to be either the big strong dumb guy or the gentle giant, but Opie doesn't really fit either of those categories. While sure he does display a softer side, I wouldn't go as far as calling him gentle. He's just as violent and flawed and complex as any of the other characters on the show, but the thing that separates him is his resilience and sincerity. A lot of the other characters, mostly Jax and Clay, employ manipulation tactics in order to achieve their own ends, but Opie really isn't like that. What he says and what he feels are more often than not the God's honest truth, so what you see is usually what you get with him. There's no hidden agenda, no secret endgame. It's just a man doing his best to navigate the circumstances he finds himself in. Being honest with himself about who he is and even about others about who they are is something that's important to him and becomes a consistent pattern of behavior for him. Living a lie isn't something that he's particularly interested in because of his inherent sincerity. From the beginning, we see that Opie does have a very strong and loyal bond with the club, but perhaps has an even stronger bond with his family. We see that he has a wife, Donna, and they have 2 kids as well. While the other members of the club are dedicated to the life, Opie is caught having to choose between whether being a family man is more important to him than being in SAMCRO. And while he still is technically part of the club, as someone correctly pointed out to me in the Jax video, he doesn't participate in their illicit affairs and therefore isn't able to earn a cut financially from what they do, so he has to work a normal job in order to provide for his family. The problem is, finding decent work as a former ex-con isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world, but he deals with it because he doesn't want to screw things up with Donna, who doesn't want him to end up back in jail due to club activities. Part of him wants to keep her happy, but the other part wants to earn enough money to take care of her and the kids, even if it comes at the cost of her trust. Jax understands that Opie won't abandon the club due to his loyalty, so he takes it upon himself to tell Donna that fully reintegrating back into SAMCRO would actually be the best thing for Opie, noting that this 50-50 split between the club and family isn't sustainable. She doesn't agree, but Opie knows that he won't be able to improve his family's financial situation without taking on work from the club. So despite his promise to Donna to go straight, he has no choice but to dive back into the club because not only does he need the money, he wants to be back. SOA is who he is, and deep down, his wife knows that.
I need back in. Guns, protection runs, all of it.
But you still gotta talk to Donna.
I've done talking.
Even though he says he's ready for tougher gigs, it becomes very quickly apparent that he isn't, still not being accustomed to just how violent things can get. His head and his heart being in two different places arouses Clay's suspicions, which doesn't help when Opie gets jammed up by ATF agent Stahl, who's trying to make Opie look like a rat by paying off his debts and essentially holding him hostage so that he can't communicate with the club. From their point of view, particularly from Clay and Tig's point of view, Opie is working with the feds, and being a rat is essentially a capital offense that they think he's committed, and as a result, they try to take him out but accidentally kill Donna in a haphazard mix-up. Losing Donna to what appears to be gangland violence is something that nearly breaks Opie, but he has to remain strong for his kids. It does also make him reconsider the whole rejoining SAMCRO thing, because how could it be the right decision if this was the end result? After taking an extended break and time away to think about it, not only does he come back to the club, but he comes back with more commitment than ever, but it carries the caveat of neglecting his kids who just lost their mom. This newfound dedication is clearly a coping mechanism for the loss of his wife that borders on self-destructive behavior that doesn't go unnoticed by Jax, who expresses his concern.
You got something going on.
Got the club. Just throwing myself into it.
You got kids, Ope. Don't throw yourself too far.
To keep Opie from learning the truth and to give him the revenge they know he wants, they pin the murder on some random Mayan, thinking it'll give Opie a sense of resolution to kill him. This is Clay's idea that Jax is against, and Opie can feel the friction between the two and the different directions that they're pulling the club in. This causes Opie to take Clay's side, as he thinks the split is coming from a sense of jealousy from Jax, even though it's really because Jax can see Clay for what he is, while Opie can't. Jax, Clay, Tig, and Piney all know what really happened to Donna, and are all forced to lie to him in their own ways in order to help him move on, but lying to him about it flies in the face of the truth, which we've established is a critical part of his character, so in the long run, it does create the possibility of doing more harm than good, but thankfully, once he does learn the truth, Opie does understand that it was Agent Stahl that made him look guilty of being a snitch, ultimately landing the murder of Donna at her feet. It was a bit surprising to me that Opie was able to so quickly forgive Clay for his actions, but in retrospect, I don't think he ever did. I think he sort of just stowed it away for the time being. He holds on to the secret because he doesn't think it'll do any good to spill the beans on Clay. It does take a few seasons, some maneuvering, and some sleight of hand from the club, but eventually, Opie is able to take his revenge on Stahl by killing her in the same way that Donna was killed. In spite of the negativity seemingly surrounding every aspect of his life, one of the few positives is meeting Lila, one of the adult actresses from the studio that they work with. There is romantic interest between the two, but Lila isn't exactly the motherly figure that Donna was, which causes doubt in Opie that they could have a productive relationship. As where Donna didn't want much of anything to do with the club, Lila doesn't hesitate to help them when they need it, being more accustomed to the outlaw lifestyle. He initially does have trouble accepting her line of work, but eventually he's able to make his peace with it. You know, being with a woman in the adult industry is not the easiest pill for most men to swallow, and Opie's no different. He does unfairly take his frustrations about it out on her, and it comes off a bit hypocritical to me for him to judge her for her line of work, considering his line of work, you know, being a criminal and all. With time and built trust, he's able to accept her for who she is rather than who he wishes she was, and the two would go on to establish a relationship and eventually get married. With both of them having kids, they've created a little family of their own, giving Opie a sense of somewhat normalcy, which is something he wants to have in his life. But even when things are good, the ghost of Donna looms over their entire relationship. An issue arises very early on into the marriage when he wants to have a baby with her, but it's revealed later that she got an abortion and has been taking Plan B pills in order to avoid getting pregnant again, reestablishing the fact that she isn't really the motherly type despite already having a kid. This creates friction in their marriage because it seems that they want two different things. Opie wants them to have a shared child, as where Lila is okay with just being an old lady and not necessarily a mom. Opie, not really knowing how to deal with it, pulls one of Jax's moves and sleeps with one of Lila's co-workers in order to push Lila away.
I found birth control. Morning after pills in Lila's stuff. This whole time that I've been trying to have kids, she's been killing it off.
Tapping that crazy bitch is your solution.
Work for you.
The affair is the straw that breaks the camel's back on their marriage, causing Lila to leave Opie, despite the fact that she still cares about him, not being able to put herself through the drama of it all. He doesn't express it outright, but I'm sure he has some internalized abandonment issues, given the way his mom also left him when he was younger, after also not being able to deal with the MC's lifestyle. The entire situation pisses off Opie's father, Piney, because no matter the degree of Opie's criminality, the one thing he could count on was Opie being a good father and husband, and in this moment, he isn't exactly living up to that. Piney has always been supportive of his son, like when the club thought he was working with the feds. Aside from Jax, Piney is the only person to fiercely defend Opie and deny the allegations outright, despite the evidence pointing to the contrary. When Opie is grieving Donna and the club is deliberating retaliation, Piney takes it upon himself to try and enact revenge on the people he thinks did it, and even tries to shoot Clay, attempting to hold him responsible for what happened to Donna. All this because of how much he loves his son. Their bond is cut short when Opie finds the decomposing corpse of Piney, having taken a shotgun blast to the chest. It's thanks to information from Unser and seeing the battered face of Gemma that Opie is able to confirm that it was Clay who killed Piney. This fills Opie with rage because this is the second time that Clay has killed someone that he loves, but this time, there would be no forgiveness. When Donna died, Jax purposefully hid the truth from him, so naturally, he assumes that Jax knows the truth about what happened this time as well.
Did you know?
Did you know? No, Ope! Of course not!
His relationship with Jax has always been a good one, even when they were at odds. They've always been there for each other through thick and thin, but after learning that Jax wants out of SAMCRO, after convincing Opie to fully rejoin no less, feels like a betrayal and deeply affects Opie's trust in his longtime friend. He wants to believe that Jax knew nothing about it, but after everything that's happened, how could he possibly put any further belief in Jax? How could he possibly allow Clay to keep breathing when he's lost so much already?
Having Donna killed! That a lie! Jesus Christ, that's history, man. Stall bending the truth. That score is settled. No, it's not! You sit down!
This club has taken everything from him, and now it's his turn to take something. Despite pleas from Jax not to kill Clay, pushed to his breaking point, Opie shoots him anyway, only to be stopped by Jax when he tries to finish the job. Jax needs Clay alive for selfish reasons, but still promises Opie that he'll find the truth and get down to the bottom of everything. However, there's not much to find out because Opie is completely right about the whole thing. Jax walks back his decision to leave the MC and assumes the presidency with Clay out of commission, not being able to walk away from the club while they're in disarray. He offers the VP position to Opie, but The level of trust that they previously had is just not there anymore.
I don't get it. Why are you staying? What the hell happened today?
I'll tell you everything. And the club. I just gotta do it at the right time.
In my book, that's lying.
Even though Jax is now calling the shots at SAMCRO, Opie is kind of done with all of it, even going as far as to not wear his cut anymore. After losing Donna, Piney, and essentially Lila, his heart just isn't in the game anymore, and he wants nothing to do with them, or so he tells himself at least, not while Clay is still part of the club. He even goes as far as to warn Jax that being a leader has the potential to corrupt and make Jax into the one person he doesn't want to be. An all but prophetic statement from Opie regarding the path his friend is on. Funny enough, it's Clay of all people to convince Opie not to walk away from the club, as he doesn't think it will be worth it purely out of hatred, and deep down, he knows that Clay is right. When half the club gets hauled off to county, Opie decks Sheriff Roosevelt to get himself locked up too, going with them so they have an extra body for protection while they're inside. It foreshadows the kind of sacrifices that Opie is willing to make for his brothers in spite of everything. While in jail, Jax reveals the entire truth about everything to Opie: why Clay killed Piney, the pending Rico case, the Damon Pope revenge plot, the cartel IRA gun situation, everything. This helps Opie understand why Jax needs Clay alive, but also helps him understand just how screwed they are. Knowing all of that, he still thinks Jax made the wrong decision saving Clay, but he gets it. They're forced into a situation where Jax has to choose someone to die as part of Damon Pope's retribution for his dead daughter, but it's an impossible choice for Jax, because at this point in his presidency, that isn't a decision that he's willing or able to make.
I don't give a shit who Pope is. Or how deep his reach is. He doesn't make that call.
Not making a decision being the decision isn't good enough for Opie, and with everything on the line, he chooses to sacrifice himself. A distraught Jax tries to stop him, but his mind is made up. I think he had a feeling that things could go south while inside. From actually taking Clay's advice to not abandon the club, to giving Lila money to take care of the kids, I can't help but think that Opie knew that he might not make it out alive. Offering his life to make sure that the club, and Jax specifically, had an opportunity to survive and keep going is very poignant from a man who's lost everything, still willing to give anything.
I got this.
I'll find out who you are and where you live. And then I'm gonna kill you.
Opie's impact extends far beyond his death, especially for Jax. I talk about it more in the Jax character analysis, so watch that if you haven't already, but watching him be murdered just a few feet away awakens that absolutely ruthless side of Jax that we'd go on to see for the next few seasons. As where he struggled with tough decisions before, he becomes almost too keen on making them now. Opie's final words, "I got this," were meant as a final statement of sacrifice and selflessness, but Jax in his anger took away the wrong message and used it as a sort of pseudo battle cry for enacting his revenge against the people who killed his best friend.
I got this.
Jockey. Jockey.
It hurts him more when he thinks about the fact that Opie's kids have lost their mother, grandfather, and now father to the club. The kids are being left to Lila to care for, but as we've previously discussed, being a mom isn't exactly her strongest suit, but now she has no choice. It's haunting to hear Lila call for Opie when she gets hurt, even long after his death.
Jack,
What happened?
I want to. Please, oh God, I want Opie.
He's left a void in so many lives that Jax can't even begin to fill. It makes Jax appreciate what he has in his own family even more. He's tried by making sure that Lila and the kids have subsidized housing and consistent work as a manager at Diosa, but he knows that won't be enough. Even after he takes his revenge, he knows it won't be enough for any of them. Opie is still dead and all they can do is say goodbye. Without him being around anymore to speak to, Jax does reflect on the lessons he learned from Opie and tries to apply them to his own life, specifically about being true to who he is.
When Donna wanted me out, I didn't stay because of what you said. I stayed because I knew that trying to be anything else would be a lie.
Opie's actions at the end of his life may have been borderline self-destructive, but they were never self-defeatist. He didn't sacrifice his life because he wanted to give up and die, but he was willing to give it so that Jax and the others could live. It isn't until the series finale, after all the ups, downs, and turmoil in Jax's life, that he finally understands what Opie's "I got this" was really about. It's about giving your own life and self-sacrificing for the hope of a better future, not for yourself, but for the sake of others.
I got this.
They're the final words that Jack says to the club before riding off to meet his ultimate fate, but I think they meant more to Chibbs than anybody else, because if you think about it, if Opie wasn't there, Chibbs would have been cooked, man, because Pope needed Jax on the outside to conduct business, and he didn't want Tig on the outside at all because he wanted him to get tortured in jail, which leaves Chibbs as the odd man out. The fact that Chibbs would go on to be the future president of SAMCRO and even have a minor role in Mayans and how they conduct business with the Sons speaks to just how far the impact of Opie's sacrifice would go. It's almost immeasurable, the things that he gave up for the club. He was such a strong character, not just physically, but he may have been the most emotionally as well, given everything he went through. And for him to still not abandon Jax and the club, for him to still give his life for their sake, is indicative to the kind of person he was and the kind of person that Jax would ultimately aspire to be. Thank you guys so much for watching. See, I told you I would get better at this whole turnaround time thing. I didn't make you wait 2 years this time. But yeah, I really appreciate the likes, comments, subscriptions from these videos. I have fun making them. I love Sons of Anarchy, so I'll keep pumping these out as long as y'all want me to. I do read the comments, and yes, I am working on a Gemma video. I am working on an Easy video, although I need to rework the script for that one, so I don't know how long it's gonna take. But they are in the works, so hopefully you guys will stick around to enjoy those when they come out. But anyway, again, thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm Josh Fleeks. Till next time, y'all be easy.